Hello, and welcome to Government Unit 4, pages 35 through 37. We are going to be crossing out number 6. The topic of this video is the media's influence on campaigns. Now, the media is where you get your news from, and most people it could be the TV, but it could also be print newspapers. It could be articles online, anywhere at all that you get news and information. That's media. So there's two major ways that media presents their information, methods of presenting it. There's just straight news reporting, where they just report the facts. The other way is through editorials, where it's the opinions of that media company, whether it's the New York Times, Fox News, CNN, the website that you're looking at. It's the opinions on the facts, on the news of that media company, whoever they've hired to write for them. Now, the problem with it is, ideally, we're supposed to get no bias. Bias means no favoritism. That's what bias is. It could show up in the form of favoring one candidate or issue over the other by either giving one candidate more airtime or more attention than the other, or reporting more negative stories on one candidate or issue than another. Good journalism avoids bias. Good journalism is supposed to not have any bias at all and just report facts. And if they give their opinion, they're making it clear that their opinion, but it's their opinion. Bias is when they're supposedly presenting straight facts, but they're not being fair and equal to both sides, or more than one side, or more than two sides, if there's many sides. So this is something you always got to be looking out for, because it exists in pretty much all media. Some companies are better at it than others, but it's run by humans. Humans definitely have preferences, and they can try as hard as they want to restrain them. They're still going to have natural bias that comes out even if they don't realize it. So you as a consumer need to be paying attention for that and looking for that to figure out what their bias is and how much might it be corrupting their message or their reporting of the news. News conglomerates are a big source of bias because they don't have incentive to report events that might hurt their stock value. See, a little local newspaper probably won't have any stock value, so this isn't an issue. But something if a newspaper's owned by a major media company, their number one goal to stay alive is keep the shareholders happy, so they'll stay invested in their stock market, in their stock shares. If bad news comes out, scares their investors might sell off the stock, take off, and then all of a sudden the value of that company dumps. So to avoid that, there's incentive to not report things and to self-censor their own reporters who might report things that hurt their stock. This is a major source of contention because over the last 50 years, actually, especially in the last 20 years in particular, all news outlets have been owned and controlled by just fewer and fewer people to just 6 now. Just 6 companies own all major news outlets. And a lot of them are intertwined with each other. So this creates a huge level of mistrust to those people who are aware of this, and not everyone is, because now we're like, okay, what information are they not reporting? And it's not necessarily about lies. Remember, one way you have bias is not necessarily lying about things, just not reporting things that don't support your views, your opinions.
Another way that you can stay informed on politicians and the things that they're doing and just the news in general is through talk radio. Now, here's the thing about talk radio, and this does include podcasts as well, not just stuff you turn on with the AM radio. It is opinion-based. That is the big difference between talk radio and other news outlets, is that it is entirely opinion-based. Now, it's based on news. It's based on facts. And if you don't trust the facts of someone, you can always fact check it and find out if there's someone who's worth listening to or not, because their opinion is meaningless if you find out they're making up the facts. But if you know that the facts that they're giving are true, They're still useful, even though it's an opinion, because it gives you perspective. It teaches you, or not teaches you, it gives you a way of trying to sort out the information and figure out how does it affect your life. Because it's one thing to just know all these facts and figures and statistics and all these different things happening, but what do they mean? How does it affect your life? Or does it affect your life? And that's what radio hosts try to do, is convince you how it affects your life. And in what way does it affect your life? That is the goal of talk radio. So you have to be careful because it's opinion based. But that opinion can lead to perspectives that you wouldn't have come up on your own. Just like when you talk to your friends and family members and teachers about different things, and they give you ideas that you wouldn't have had about how to interpret that information. That's what talk radio does. That's what podcasts do. And sometimes they try to do it in a very entertaining way. But realize they're all trying to convince you that their opinion is right. And maybe it is. It's up for you to decide. There's nothing wrong with them trying to convince you and maybe even leaving out details that doesn't support their opinion. Everyone does that. There's nothing evil about that. It's just the nature of talk radio. So be careful. Don't accept it as pure fact, because that's not the goal of talk radio. It's to convince you to look at the facts the same way they do. And if you do, that's fine, as long as you've thought about it and it's your own opinion and you're not just following someone because they're very entertaining in the way they present their opinion, because most of them will be.
And that's it. Don't forget the Edmodo quiz. Actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to forget the Edmodo quiz. So I'll see you in class.